Economists across the board are tearing into Donald Trump's economic plan, saying that if Trump's economic plan is enacted the way that Trump says he will do it, which, by the way, is also impossible for him to do, but they're saying if he were to somehow pull this off, it would lead the economy not just into a recession, but would decimate low-income Americans and, of course, working-class Americans. Specifically, what they're talking about is a recent speech where Donald Trump said, quote, "Prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything. Prices will come down and come down dramatically and come down fast." Oh, so they're going to come down. They're going to come down dramatically. They're going to come down fast. So you basically just said the exact same thing 3 separate times in one sentence, you idiot. But economists are pointing out that just suddenly bringing prices of everything down would crush the economy. Here's what they say. Justin Wolfers, an economist at the University of Michigan, told CNN, quote, that Trump isn't trying to slow the rate of inflation by increasing prices at a gradual and possible realistic pace, which is something the Federal Reserve has already been successfully executing over the last 2 years. What Trump seems to be describing instead is deflation. He says, quote, "The way to bring about deflation would be to create a massive recession. That would cause businesses to start cutting prices. This is extremely dangerous and feeds on itself." He then explained, first of all, if Americans know that their purchases will be cheaper next month, then they will refrain from buying items today. And the consequent widespread price plunges would cause a negative feedback loop. It's very hard to get out of a deflationary spiral. And let me explain what this means. This rapid deflation would send prices spiraling down, which on the surface people think like, oh, well, that's good. Things are cheaper. Not so fast, bucko, because what happens in those situations is that businesses obviously see a cut to their profits. And whenever businesses see a cut to their profits, even if they're still a profitable company, who do they take it out on? The workers. They cut wages, they deny raises, and they engage in mass layoffs because they don't want any of their profit margin to go away. So they will make sure it stays here even with lower prices. And you do that by cutting expenses. The expenses, of course, are the American workers. So suddenly these workers who get all excited about prices that they can actually afford find themselves without a job. So even though the prices came down, they still can't afford the goods. And that's where the negative feedback loop comes in, because now, even though they can't afford them, the prices will have to come down even more to make it to where they can afford them. But then more people get laid off, which means fewer people can afford them again. Same old, same old, same old, repeating itself until we're in a full-blown depression. And that's not the only economist. You also have Mark Zandi, a chief economist at Moody's, who told CNN that broad price declines would be, quote, unrealistic and undesirable. A deflationary environment would be a prescription for a very weak and recessionary economy. A better aspiration would be to try to keep inflation, which has slowed considerably this year, stable at about 2% and increase wages at a solid pace. If wages continue to outpace inflation, the sting of higher prices becomes less painful with each passing month. And then, of course, Wolfers again said if prices are cut, then businesses would have to start cutting wages, which would completely negate the relatively cheaper goods and services. Bringing down prices sounds really exciting if I get to keep my current wage, but you don't. Because the thing all of these super smart people always say about bringing down prices is that they forget one very important factor that even caused the price hikes to begin with, and that is corporate friggin' greed. Corporations are not going to take a hit to their bottom line. They could, and they would still be doing phenomenal. You would still have millionaires and billionaires, okay? But they are so greedy that if they have to lower their prices, they do it at the expense of their workers instead of the expense of their next private jet. Instead of buying the private jet this month, they could wait 6 more months, save up a little money, but they want it now. So their wages can't go down. Their bonuses, their $25, $50 million a year bonuses, we can't lose those. So we'll lay off enough people. Corporate greed is driving the price hikes in this country. Corporate greed is the reason any kind of deflationary policies simply cannot work in this country. Oh, it looks good on paper, it makes for a great soundbite, but in practice, because of corporate greed, we actually can't do any of those things because corporations will take it out on the working class. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.